bloodshed, shalom, salam, forever.
Broadcasting from Bethel, just north of Jerusalem, D.C. That's right, Jerusalem, David's capital. King David's capital. King David's capital. And now, Tamar Yonah.
All right, so we're speaking about the Passover holiday, and as we celebrate this holiday, which is a celebration of freedom, we are seeing through the headlines the gates of Aliyah are closing. The opportunities to move to Israel, to leave the exile and come home to your nation and to your land, that these opportunities are diminishing. We see it again in the headlines. I'm going to read to you some interesting things that came my way and how this should be a warning sign for all of us. A flag for all of us. And lest you're listening and you're not Jewish and you're thinking this show is not going to interest me, you will want to listen because I have some things that are going to affect you as well. Anybody who is listening who is an American citizen. I first want to say that to show how the gates of Aliyah are coming to a close. They're closing. It's not as easy to make Aliyah today as it was 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. Even before Nefesh B'Nefesh, but let's say around maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago when Nefesh B'Nefesh started out. That's a group that helps Jews make Aliyah to Israel. I remember telling a friend of mine that lives in Los Angeles. She was able to get around 6 years ago about $1.6 million for her home in Los Angeles. She has a home in a very nice part of Los Angeles, around $1.6 million. Houses were, it was a bubble. It was really high. And I told her, come home. She was complaining about the high tuition fees to send her 3 kids to Jewish day schools, how expensive it was and how expensive it was to live in Los Angeles and how hard it was to park in Los Angeles. And I remember her telling me a story where she was gonna take some parking space. She found finally a parking space at some, mall or something. And she was just about to go in when another car cut her off and was gonna take it. And she was not gonna let go and she was gonna force her way in. And the guy pulled out a gun on her. Okay. And so she decided the parking place wasn't that important to her and she moved out. But I told her, I said, for $1.6 million, if you sell your house, you can buy a beautiful apartment in Tel Aviv in a tower, one of the beautiful towers that are going up. And you could pretty much retire after that. You pretty much wouldn't have to work. She's already in her 50s and getting close towards her 60s, actually. And I said, your kids, first of all, you won't have to pay the tuitions here in Israel that you have to pay in the United States. And the housing prices in Israel hadn't gone up like they have now. Now, the last few years in Israel, wow, they've soared up. But 6 years ago, they were still pretty affordable in different places. Today, real estate in Israel is sky high, and selling homes in America are at a low. Probably, I don't know if it's an all-time low, but a very, very big low. She cannot get $1.6 million for her house anymore. Maybe she can sell it for $600,000 or $700,000 or maybe $600,000 to $900,000, but it's so hard to even sell today. So there we see a perfect example of people today who cannot sell their homes because they owe so much money on them, and by the time that they sell it, they'd have to pay back the mortgage. They would be left with pretty much nothing. Where if they would have come 5, 6, 10 years ago, they could have lived here wonderfully and perhaps even retired. There's another issue to think about, and that is that not only have real estate prices gone up here in Israel, but it's harder to make Aliyah. When Nefesh B'Nefesh, the organization that helps Jews from America and Canada come on Aliyah, they were giving away huge grants to families, $20,000, even $30,000 in some cases, to help Jews who wanted to make Aliyah but still had student loans to pay off or had other things that they had to pay off before they can come and make Aliyah. And so they help them. Today, I don't believe that you can get sums like that to help you from Nefesh B'Nefesh anymore. That's another sign that things are getting tougher. Let me remind you that America is in a financial slump. I don't have to remind you that. But what we might be seeing this year is a total worldwide financial collapse. And despite all of this, Israel and its economy is doing pretty good. It's amazing. The whole world is going down, 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 and Israel is not really feeling what the rest of the world is feeling. It's nothing less than a miracle. Now, if we see a financial collapse in the world, a total collapse, we could see America easily becoming a place like South Africa was several years ago when it used to be the white government, when it was apartheid there. And South Africa was a state that said that citizens who want to emigrate can emigrate, but they can't take their money out of the country. And I could very easily see America or England or Canada or Australia or any of these countries in the West saying, you made your money here, you're going to keep it here. So there's basically little respect of what's yours is yours and what's not yours is not yours. It looks to me like the government is saying it's yours as long as you're here, but once you leave, it's not yours anymore. They're already sticking their hands in your bank account there. How can Jews leave when they can't take their money with them? This is a very difficult thing to do. You can do it, but you have to finagle. It's not so easy. Not everybody can finagle. Not everybody has the ties to be able to do that. Let me read you something else. There's a very disturbing article that came out that someone sent me in my email, and it was posted in the Texas Tribune, texastribune.org. It's called Feds, the federal government, Feds mole circumcision inquiries for passports. Let me read you a little bit about this. It says here, were you circumcised at birth? And was it a part of a religious ceremony? If so, who was there and why? Do you know what kind of pre- or postnatal care your mother received when she was pregnant and what the dates and times of those appointments with her doctors were? I bet you guys are saying no. For as many as 74,000 U.S. citizens a year, supplying this information to the U.S. State Department could be the difference between getting or being rejected for a passport. This doesn't mean just being rejected like you can't get a passport if you don't have one, but it could even be if you're a passport holder, my friends. You already have a passport that they won't renew it unless you can answer these questions to their satisfaction. Let me continue with the article. It says, in February, the department announced it was posting to the Federal Register a public notice seeking comments on a new proposal that would require the additional information when a passport applicant submits citizenship or identity evidence that is insufficient or of questionable authenticity. The comment period ends this month, and the government will subsequently evaluate the comments and decide if it will enact the new rule. The State Department did not respond to several requests made for comment about the proposal. The section of the proposed application concerning religious ceremonies, that's like a brit milah, a bris, and a mother's prenatal care, also includes questions about a mother's residence 1 year before, during, and after she gave birth to the applicant, and where the mother was employed at the time she gave birth. That information must be supplied if applicants were born in the United States, but not in a medical facility, or if their birth was not recorded within 1 year after it occurred. So if you were born on the way to a hospital in your car, or in an ambulance maybe, or if you were born at home with a midwife, you may not get a passport if you can't answer all of these questions, or many of them, to the satisfaction of the State Department. It says here, the primary purpose for soliciting this information is to establish citizenship, identity, and eligibility for a U.S. passport book or passport card, according to the notices posted on the Register's website. It goes on to talk about more. Let me just read one more paragraph so you can get a bit better idea and you can look it up yourself. It says here, Austin immigration attorney Dan Kowalski says the new proposal could be in response to, he calls it payback, a 2008 court case called Castellano versus Clinton. Castellano versus Clinton, in which the federal government settled a case with a group of South Texans who alleged the State Department was unfairly denying passports to individuals delivered by midwives. If you want to go and look it up, I'm going to put a link on the website to this article, and from that article, you can check out the official website where the State Department posts this Castellano versus Clinton. It's very interesting. Now, in order to get an agenda passed, you want to make it sound truthful, and it has to have some truth in it for it to be believed. And this is all cosmetics. What they're saying is, well, we're doing this because of all the illegal immigration, and we don't know who was really born in America and who's just claiming that they were. But the problem I have with this, my friends, is that, number one, this document is a passport. A passport means it's for people who want to leave the country. If these are illegal immigrants, why would that be a problem to give them a passport if they're already living in the United States and already getting all the other benefits? They're already getting all the other benefits that American citizens get if they're not American citizens. But anybody going to apply for a passport may indeed be a citizen. How are you going to go proving all of these things that they're demanding? You may have a passport now, but if this law gets passed, and again, this is the last month for the debate, if this law gets passed and you own a passport, your passport may not get renewed. The gates of Aliyah are closing. Let me read you something else here. We're talking about how you can't get enough money for your houses today anymore, where 5 or 6 years ago you could. This is from the GOP.gov website, the website of the Republican majority in Congress. And there's an article here called Obamacare Flatlines. Obamacare taxes home sales, clobbers middle-class Americans. And this is what President Obama said in 2008 on September 12th. He said, I can make a firm pledge. Under my plan, no family making less than $250,000 a year will see any form of tax increase. Not your income tax, not your payroll tax, not your capital gains taxes, and not any of your taxes. Well, according to this article, it says here, beginning January 1st, 2013, it's about a year and a half from now, Obamacare imposes a 3.8%, it's almost 4%, Medicare tax on unearned income, including the sale of single-family homes, townhouses, co-ops, condominiums, and even rental income. This should be disturbing because you can barely get enough money from your home as it is now. And if you're trying to make Aliyah, every dime that you can scrape up is going to help you. And to take 4% almost, 3.8%. Well, let me just read to you what it says here. It says here in February 2010, 5.02 million homes were sold. That's in February 2010. According to the National Association of Realtors, on any given day, the sale of a house, townhome, condominium, co-op, or income from a rental property can push middle-income families over the $250,000 threshold and slam them with a new tax that they can't afford. This could add up to, let me see, it says here, the new Obamacare tax is the first time the government will apply a 3.8% tax on unearned income. This new tax on home sales and unearned income and other Medicare taxes raises taxes more than $210 billion to pay for Obamacare. There was more here, but it could be that if you're selling a house for $250,000, that you could be paying a few $1,000s here on your home that you're losing in order to pay for the tax. This is very disturbing news. Again, every dime that you can scrape up always helps you with your move. I know somebody who's coming to Israel this summer. They usually come frequently to Israel every year or two. This year, they're coming for their son's bar mitzvah, and they're complaining after they order their tickets how high the prices are to fly now overseas. And that's because fuel, energy prices, oil has gone up, and that reflects in the airlines. Thousands of dollars to bring his family over now. Thousands of dollars to bring his family over now. Much more expensive than it was just last year. The gates of Aliyah are closing. Who knows how expensive it could get to take an overseas trip from Canada or America or Australia or England. England's a bit closer. But how expensive can that get to fly your family over? We have to realize that there is time limitations in the world. When we left Egypt, we had to wait, and then boom, go. When we had to go so fast, our window of opportunity was so short that we didn't even have time to let the yeast in the bread rise, and we had to make the bread we had to make unleavened bread. We had to get out, boom, fast. That was when the window of opportunity was. Look at World War II. Jewish communities have been living in Poland for 1,000 years plus. They've been living in Germany. Jews in Germany, many times they felt more German than Jewish. They were so assimilated. And everyone thought, oh, well, it won't happen. If it does happen, we have time. And then when they thought they had time, then they didn't have time, and then boom! Germany, the Nazis come in, they take over, and the borders are sealed, and you're trapped, and you can't leave. We are limited. We are limited in the opportunities when we can make Aliyah, and God has told us simply what to do. When we sit down at the Seder table on Passover, what do we say at the very end of the Seder? We say, next year in Jerusalem. And how many of us really take that to heart? We're just mouthing the words. But God is calling us. Things are happening around the world. It doesn't have to be even specifically targeting Jews. It doesn't have to be anti-Semitism. It could be that a nation itself is suffering, that it's not going to have a very good future, and you're in that nation, and you'll be swallowed up in whatever historical event takes over that nation. But God wants the Jewish people home. He brought us out of Egypt to be His people, to be Jews in the land of Israel. He didn't take us out of Egypt and say, okay, you can go live anywhere in the world right now. Go to Tahiti, Moses. You worked hard over there tending sheep in Midian, in Midian. Is that how you say it in English? You worked hard. You had to relieve the Pharaoh's house and go retire in Tahiti. Go to the Bahamas. God brought us to Israel, and He gave us the Torah, and He wants us to be Jews, a holy nation, and be a light into the world. And we can only keep the Torah in Israel. Outside of Israel, they say it's keeping the mitzvot, keeping the commandments. It's kind of like just practice. But in Israel, when you say the benching, when you say the grace after meals, you're talking about the land. The land of Israel, not the land of Iowa or the land of Brisbane. The gates of Aliyah are closing. 2013, January 1st, it could be these extra taxes. And let's not forget a show I did a long time ago, could be up to a year ago even, on cap and trade, that even in order to just sell your house, you'll have to get permission from a government inspector or an inspector that reports to the government that says that your house is up to cap and trade standards, meaning that your plumbing system is working right, your insulation system is working right, your windows are all airtight, so, when you heat your house or air condition it, you're not losing energy. And that if you have to go and ripping out walls in order to re-insulate, or make any renovations in order to get your house up to standards for selling, that right there could kill you. That right there could kill you financially. That you won't even be able to do that. The gates of Aliyah are closing. God has blessed you with whatever possessions you have. Maybe you don't own a home. Maybe you have a car. Maybe you have nice furniture. I don't know what, but whatever it is that God has blessed you with, we need to act like Abraham. When God said, Lech lecha, get up and go. And what did he do? He didn't stand there and think and say, all right, God, I'll go when my portfolio's mature. In another 5 years when I can get more money for my tent. Prices of tents should be going up. It's really, it's really kind of at a low now. I'm going to wait a few years. He didn't do that. Abraham took the blessings that God gave him at that time, the blessings that he had at that time, and he took his family and his things and he went. We have to learn from our forefathers, and we have to learn from the Torah, and we have to learn from history that things don't always go according to our timetable, to our schedules, or what's comfortable for us. The whole world is coming against Israel. It could be that they could pass a law saying no one's allowed into Israel. Anybody who travels there, they won't get visas. We won't let them, when they leave the country and they have a passport, we ask them where they're going, where their ticket is. We won't let American citizens or Canadian citizens or whatever it is go to Israel because it's a pariah state. They don't want to make peace with the poor Palestinian Arabs. That's what they'll say, perhaps. And therefore, we're boycotting that country. Did you know, my friends, that after World War II, there were a lot of Jews who wanted to help Israel fight, help the Jewish people fight and have Israel become a state. And these American citizens could not get permission from the American government to go to Israel and help Israel. It's been done before. It can be done again. Come home. nbn.org.il. Nefesh b'nefesh. Come home, my brothers and sisters. Come home.
Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem Yimloch le'olam va'ed. Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem Yimloch le'olam va'ed. ימלוך לעולם ועד. השם מלך, השם מלך,